Scott and we went to the movie together, and it was a freaking bromance. I mean, Scott drove me there. He bought me popcorn. Oh yeah, it was.
So cute.
He dated me like you wouldn't believe, and now I'm here to just.
No second date.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rod's super old fashioned. He wouldn't even take me to second base, right? I paid for this.
Wait. That implies that you got to first base, though.
Let's just say we might have touched hands in the popcorn, but that was about it.
2 decades after the events of Gladiator. We're talking movies, we're talking Gladiator 2, the latest film from Ridley Scott.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this special episode of How'd You Like That Movie? We're going to be talking about Ridley Scott's latest film, Gladiator 2. For a lot of you, it's probably not even out in the theater yet. Helping us out, because I mean, who really wants to talk about the Roman Empire with 3 white dudes? But as guests, we've got our producer, Rod Shaver, who is also the owner of Fader Monkey Productions, which is an event and sound lighting company. And again, friend of the show and one of our favorite people, Heidy Morales. Heidy is the founder of High's Musings, an alternative media website covering film, theater, and along with other arts and culture features. She's also a programmer at Blood in the Snow Film Festival, and she's a Rotten Tomatoes approved film reviewer. She's born in Guatemala and now resides in Toronto, Canada, where she's been supporting and discussing the film scene locally and abroad for 15 years. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Oh yeah, we got Scott. I mean, Scott's here.
Sup, Scott?
Thank you. I feel loved.
So we were lucky enough to get some free passes to go check out the press screening from the Tarot Group and Paramount Pictures. So thank you very much to them. But I did not go. So you are less going to be hearing my critical reviewing of this film. And I'm going to be sitting in the stead of the audience. And I'm going to be talking to these 3 who did go see this film. And they're going to let us know if we should go see this film. Just for everybody to know, Australia and New Zealand, the film opens November 14th. Internationally, including the UK, it's going to be opening on the 15th. Here in Canada and in the United States, November 22nd. So normally this is where I throw it over to Scott. But since he's kind of like a guest this time, we're going to just move right in. So first off, everybody, do you have anything that you want to shamelessly self-promote? Normally, we'd put a big pause in here, but what do you guys got on the go? Scott, this doesn't include you. Rod or Heidy, is there anything you want to shamelessly self-promote? We'll start with Heidy.
I don't think I actually put in my bio on my website, so it's hyemusings.ca. You can follow me on the socials at hyemusings, High Musings. People can follow me there and find out what I'm working on or just enjoying in real time. I am now focusing on something for the Toronto Real Asian Film Festival that's coming up in the next week.
And obviously, we'll have all your links in the show notes. Before I move over to Rod, is there anything you want to talk about? Blood in the Snow. Blood in the Snow is coming up on what, the next week, 2 weeks?
Right. For us, it starts on the 18th and runs until the 22nd. There are a lot of programs featuring short films, and I always like to plug the short films programs because not only will the filmmakers be there, sometimes they're first time or emerging filmmakers, so we do want to have audiences come and support. And then of course the opening and closing night films are always really fun.
And I guess tickets are available on the website for as far as you're concerned, or as long as we are aware?
bloodinthesnow.ca.
And again, that link will be in the show notes. Rod, so Rod's our producer. He's always behind the scenes. If you're loving that crystal clear sound and you're loving the sound of my voice in the morning or whenever you listen to the show, you can thank or hate Mr. Shaver for that. Rod, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So do you have anything you want to shamelessly self-promote? I know you do a lot of work with bands and other musical and entertainment acts. So
Yeah, so 2 things. Firstly, I work occasionally for Good Company Productions, which works out of Kitchener. I'm doing a lot of lighting design for them lately. So, check out their website. They always have cool music events and, hidden shows in the KW area. And I'm also cranking out on bass guitar for my band Section 8. We have a few gigs coming up in the future. Check us out on the web.
Thanks very much, Rod. Okay, guys, let's talk about this film. First, top line stuff. What do you guys want? How do you want to handle this thing? It's a pretty big film. Scott?
Oh, I get to talk now?
Sure. I guess so
Okay.
for now.
Like I'd say just do you want to do it spoilers or not spoilers?
I'd prefer you don't fucking spoil the movie that isn't
no,
released yet.
I think you know,
like
since you
probably
didn't go, like that seems on you. And I think yeah, we should just like literally go into details and notes and crannies, like just tell you everything.
Yeah,
Let
just
me
wreck
tell
the
you,
film for every single person that's listening to this podcast.
at the 5-minute and 30-second mark, when that sand just goes into the air and you're like, oh my God, crystal clear.
Okay, so I guess I'll set it up with this. So the original Gladiator came out in 2000, obviously Ridley Scott. It had a $465 million box office. I'm sure it did tons on streamings and hard copy sales against a $103 million budget. And it had 12 Oscar nods. It won 5, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Russell Crowe. It had 13 BAFTA nods, winning 5, including Best Film and Cinematography. So that's the bar. That's the bar. So right off top line, did this film, do you think it's at the same level? Heidi?
I don't think it's at the same level.
Rod?
I would agree with Heidi. I think that there's some parts of the film that are really, really good, and I think there's components of it that come up to the previous film, but overall, I think the previous film is a better film. I think the story hangs together better, and there's just some other parts of it that make more sense to me than the new film.
Okay, Scott, what do you think?
In my opinion, I think this kind of shows that you can go home again. Like, this is what a Ridley Scott movie is for me, right? Like, it's a grand opus that just engulfs you into the world. I was worried, you know, I thought this was going to be just like a rehash of the first one, but I was kind of pleasantly surprised. Like, I would say if you like Tom Clancy, like political action thrillers, I would like, I think this is way up your alley, right? Like it takes from the first one, but kind of expands it. But I do still have some criticism. Like there's some stuff I didn't like about it, but overall, I enjoyed the shit out of this film.
So Heidi, so Scott, as the outlier, we're just going to cut his section out of the podcast. So Heidi,
Yeah, because he's basically wrong, but okay, go for it.
Scott's like, God damn it! Even when Chris is
this shit, like I literally come here to like, because I get this fucking criticism from home from my wife and kids. Like, this is why I come on this podcast. I'm like, I want an hour where people are like, "You're good, Scotty."
We love you, Scotty.
And you know, the worst part about this is that for Scott and I, we went to the movie together, and it was a freaking bromance. I mean, Scott drove me there. He bought me popcorn. Oh yeah, it was
so cute.
He dated me like you wouldn't believe, and now I'm here to just.
No second date.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rod's super old fashioned. He wouldn't even take me to second base, right? I paid for this.
Wait. That implies that you got to first base, though.
Let's just say we might have touched hands in the popcorn, but that was about it.
Anyway, as Heidi's so used to a bunch of white guys talking over top of her, the floor is yours. So, without giving any spoilers, and let's be very conscious of that. What is it that you think does not? Okay, first off, actually, Heidi, did you like the original Gladiator?
I really enjoy the original film. I didn't dislike this one, so I do want to clarify what I meant when I said it doesn't live up to the first. I think for me, the first is the epic film. I think this one has a lot of good things about it from a production standpoint, the acting, and there's a lot about the film that I did enjoy. So I did enjoy the film. I just don't think it measures up to the first one, and it has nothing to do with Russell Crowe or anything like that specifically. But I think the film is, what is it, more than 2.5 hours, right? So I didn't even feel the length of the films, and that says a lot, because often I will say sometimes these films are too long. But like with Scott, there are things about the film that for me were just unnecessary.
So again, so to like kind of clarify, is what would you say? What did the original Gladiator maybe do well? Because we can talk about that a little more openly. That maybe this film doesn't do as well.
It's not that it doesn't do as well. I think because he had more money, Ridley Scott went ahead and like had some special effects added to the film. I'll just mention something that is not really a spoiler. There's a rhino in this film. He wanted that rhino in the original, didn't get it. He gets it in this one. He has more money. Did I need to see that? No. There's a scene where there's water involved with other animals. Didn't need that. So there were just aspects of those sort of epic game scenes where to me were not really pushing the story forward, but I know why they did them.
It's sort of like you said, it's like, well, you wouldn't let me have it before and I still want it. So now
Well, I mean, it does kind of look interesting on screen. It's just not, that's not the action I want. I guess I'm old school. I kind of want to see more like face-to-face combat.
Okay. Rod, what about you?
Yeah, Heidi, I really have to agree with you on that, especially the scene with the water. I mean, for two reasons. The first reason is that, and I mean, there were components of it that made sense, like the tactics that the boats were using in the water made sense. I mean, that was classic sort of stuff that would happen at the time. But the fact that the water was there at all, if you know anything about construction, you know that that actually could not have really happened. So yeah, I agree with you. And did they advance the plot? I don't think so.
But Scott, Scott, do you have any criticism that you can talk about?
Yeah, like the things for me is if we're going in terms of like with this one and the first one, I felt like this movie blatantly started reconning a lot of the original plot that like if you watch these movies kind of back to back, it's really not going to make much sense.
So definitely don't do that, is what you're saying. Like, do not.
I don't.
Do not brush up on your Gladiator and rewatch this film.
Yeah, because there is a lot of reconning going on. So, like in terms of, and that's the thing. Like to me, like my criticism is more on the story side, because yeah, it seems like it at some point it was just like, and not to like bring down the writer here, David Scarpa, but because Chris did that on our Napoleon episode, like
yeah, because it fucking sucked. Because it fucking sucked. Did a shitty fucking job. Like
it did seem like a lot of this was kind of like fanfic written. Because, but like I was saying, like I wanted to learn more about these twin emperors who I thought like did a good job, but to me, I still never understood how they became in power, because at the end of the first movie, when Maximus kills Commodus, he technically becomes Caesar for like 2 minutes, and he was like, give the power back to the Senate, let them run it. So what happened for the Senate to lose the power and this emperor train like kind of happened again?
I mean, I think, and again, I'm not going to try and be some expert on Roman history, but Rome's got that period in like Roman history has a really bad history of fucking weird people and ascending to the throne. You know what I mean? Like Praetorian guards killing people, becoming emperors, weird ass kids becoming emperors and stuff like that. So again, maybe when I see it, I'll be able to talk a little more about that. But okay, so you're saying like you would have wanted a little more backstory on the two ruling emperors?
Yeah, I would like that, because you know, like to me, like this is gonna get a lot of Oscar love, in my opinion, and I think it's gonna be for director, and I think Denzel Washington for best supporting actor. And right now, he's my top favorite to take it right now with what I've watched. Like his performance was fucking engrossing.
Well, and Denzel Washington, like, so first off, like this cast has got Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Connie Nielsen, coming back for her role as Lucilla. Thank you. And I actually just found out when I was doing my notes, so she was the love interest in Rushmore, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. But Denzel Washington, like, this is the fucking heavy hitter fucking actor. Like, These are just films that he has like Oscar wins or nods for. Glory, Malcolm X, The Hurricane, Training Day, and Fences. Like he has like an insane body of work, and a lot of it is like Oscar worthy. Like he's actually one of my favorite actors. I mean, his portrayal of Malcolm X, when I actually saw real footage of Malcolm X, I was like shocked. Like he basically became motherfucking Malcolm X, right? So yeah, so I mean, I think him in a supporting role is going to be great. How did the other guys do? Because so Paul Mescal, I think, he kind of had a breakout in the indie film After Sun. He's very good in as a supporting actor in All of Us Strangers. We did a great EP on that if you want to check that out. How's he holding it? How's he holding it as like a big lead here?
I want to hear Scott's thoughts.
I think like a lot of the films obviously focused on him, right? So like I think he held it together, but like I was saying, like in terms of the writing, I think they like fast tracked his character a lot, because he goes from the laughing stock to like the leader in a span of 3 minutes. So that's the thing. I like, you don't like the motive, like if you're comparing and contrasting this one and the original, like Russell Crowe's motivations are dead set. You know why he's doing what he's doing, right?
And Russell Crowe's ability to become what he does as a gladiator is understandable because of his proficiency as a like general that rose up basically from the ranks. Like it all makes sense. Like the story arc works, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like his story arc, like you get a like kind of flashback glimpses of like what happened to him and why he should be so proficient in war and battle. But like I just think it's the old adage, like, you know, he ran away from his it was like Lion King, man. He ran away from his destiny, and now he's coming back to save it, right? Which I just think they fast tracked that a little too much.
Heidi, and I also don't, Heidi, I want you to comment on what you thought of Denzel Washington's performance. But yeah, let's just stick on Paul, and then we'll circle back around to Denzel.
I kind of agree that it's a little rushed in terms of that history side of things, in terms of character development for Paul Mescal. I actually found some of those flashback scenes a little bit the lazy way of telling us that, you know, reminding us what was happening, but I guess it's kind of what you do. So I would be interested in hearing if that was like in post-production that they thought maybe we should add something, because we need to add a little bit of context for the audiences. I liked his acting. I think, I hope people don't compare him to Russell Crowe, because they're just different actors altogether in terms of gravitas. I would say that I started to believe him more of a leader as the film went on. In the beginning, I wasn't sure. There's also, you know, we get to see that he's married, but it's almost like that's just like a snippet of that. So I feel like I agree with Scott in that there's some gaps in that story for the character of Lucien. But I think he's okay. I think he held it together as best as he could, given what he was given on the page. I did like the fight choreography, though. I do want to put that out there. I thought that was great. And I think he did well in terms of that. Denzel, yes, absolutely. If you've seen him do any kind of theater work, I would recommend Fences. That's the film that's based on a play. And absolutely, he does kick ass in this role. There's a lot of troll comments on the trailer for the casting of Denzel in this film. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what people actually think once they see the film. There's a lot of comments about the casting before people even go see the film.
Well, and it looks like Denzel, and I'm not even sure, I'm assuming it's probably going to be Broadway. He is going to be playing Othello, which I'm surprised he hasn't played yet, because I think that's obviously the Moor. It's a black role, but he did actually get to play in Macbeth as well, the film version of Macbeth that was done by one of the Coen brothers. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was Ethan or not. Rod, what did you think of the lead, Paul Mescal?
So a couple of things. Firstly, I think that there's a really interesting parallel that Ridley Scott draws here between Mescal's character, Pascal's character, and Russell Crowe's character, in that they're all reluctant leaders. And so I thought that was really cool, and I wonder how many people get it, or maybe it's just me. Whereas Denzel Washington's character is not a reluctant leader. He is determined that he is going to win. So I just thought that was kind of cool. As to how Mescal did, I'm not sure whether it's his acting or the direction, but if your wife got killed, would you be having a good laugh with the boys 2 or 3 days later? So to me, some parts of either the writing or the direction just don't hang together. And I think that Denzel Washington kind of hands him a piece of, I pick my fighters because of their rage. Well, you know what? Sorry, but Paul, dude, I just didn't see it. Like, if that character was supposed to rage, I mean, maybe he did it in the ring, but I did not see it outside of the ring, and I think that would have made the character more believable. As to Denzel Washington, Denzel was doing Denzel, and he frickin' rocked that part. I mean, the real villains in this movie were absolutely not the emperors. The real villain, I think everybody can agree, is Denzel Washington, and he was just as deliciously evil as Commodus was in the first movie. I really do think that. And the thing is, Denzel Washington comes off as a charming rogue until you realize that he isn't a rogue, he's actually a monster. And I think that the way that worked through the film was pretty cool.
I mean, it's almost like how his character is. It sounds like his character in Training Day, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And he, you know, when you talk about an actor with gravitas, like Denzel Washington, like I can't even imagine, like every one of these actors is solid. And I can, in my head, I can already picture Denzel Washington being like the center point anchor as someone who exudes power, right? Like just sitting there, like even just images of him that I've seen around this film, he just looks in the same way that Russell Crowe, as you said, Heidi, like he has weight. Him in a frame has weight. I mean, now Russell Crowe has weight in a frame, but that's different.
You are so mean.
I know. Russell Crowe's gonna be fucking pissed at me. So listen, Ridley Scott, the guy's got like a crazy history, right? Obviously, he did the original Gladiator, Alien, Blade Runner, Black Hawk Down, American Gangster, but also Napoleon, House of Gucci, The Last Duel. So he's got some misses in the later part of his career. Is Ridley Scott returned to form? Guys, Scott.
Yeah, like I said that in mine. I do think it is. And it was funny because I saw like a little like triplet he was talking about because he turns 87 this month, and people are asking if he has plans on retiring, and his response was, "Are you kidding me? I wouldn't be doing it if directing felt like work. It's my passion and therefore my pleasure." He goes, "I think it keeps me going." He goes, "When I'll quit when I go." And I mean, like Clint Eastwood is 92. So I still got a couple more years to go before.
Well, and I think he just say something to QT there, Quentin Tarantino, about like it's bullshit about him quitting after like 10 films or 12 films or whatever. Quentin's going to quit. He's like, that's fucking stupid, basically. Like, why would you do that? Heidi, do you think this is first? Heidi, are you a fan of Ridley's work?
Yeah, I do. I have seen The House of Gucci. I did not bother with Napoleon, but I just wasn't interested in the story in general. And I actually think this one is kind of returning to what some of the fandom likes about his films. I think like I said, there's a lot of it that I do like, and I kind of watch a couple of those featurettes with the behind the scenes, and it seems like people were really excited. I know that Connie Nielsen was excited to be back in her role in this film, and people seem to really have enjoyed that. I guess the way that they were working with Scott on set. So I think it's probably one of the better ones that I've seen in a while from him.
Rod, what do you think?
I think that there's components of the film that are classic Ridley Scott. Like if you think about Gladiator 1 and that first 5 minutes of the movie, the intense music, the darkness, the use of the catapults, the Roman army versus the Germanic hordes, and just that. I mean, that feeling when the catapults are shooting these flaming balls, it was really incredible. I think it is one of the best opening sequences in historical film. And then he kind of does the same thing in this movie where you have the Roman galleys attacking the city. Really high level of historical accuracy, by the way. Not that most people really care about that, but wow, he really nailed it in terms of the costumes, the armor, the weapons, the way the galleys were used. And it was just a great spectacle. So from that perspective, absolutely. That was classic Ridley Scott.
I just want to remind everybody that if you're enjoying this podcast, to head over to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, leave us a comment or a suggestion for a film, because we are trying to get our Rotten Tomatoes accreditation, sort of like Heidi has. So I don't know, like now let's just kind of open it up to free flow conversation about this film. You've said the acting is solid, you know, there's some cool fight scenes. I mean, Ridley Scott, one thing I won't criticize him on is that his ability to like hand-to-hand combat and fight choreography, big scale, small scale, he's always on point with that. Sometimes he gets a little fucked up with his storytelling aspects, but I mean, again, he's got a crazy filmography. So I don't know, is there anything else you guys want the audience to know about this film? Oh, actually, should people go see the movie? Let's start with that, Scott, and we'll just roundtable this thing.
Yeah, like I'll give this film like 4 stars, and it's definitely
4
a
thumbs
film.
up.
Yeah, it's definitely a film I do recommend to go watch in theaters. I would also recommend going to watch it in IMAX, just maybe not in the second row from the front. But
oh yeah, how so? Actually, just
You
let's
didn't
side
call
by.
me to save you seats, Scott.
Sorry.
What? Yeah. How was your viewing experience? Let's sidebar for a sec. Did you guys get there with enough time to get seats? It doesn't sound like
it. We left at 4 here. And it said we were supposed to show up at like 6, like based on the GPS, but we got caught in traffic, and I think we ended up like 6:50 is when we parked. So yeah, when we got in and then we walked in, we didn't know if we were gonna get like free popcorn or anything. So we walked in to check to see if they're getting us free popcorn, which it wasn't. So then we went back in line to grab free popcorn and then to grab popcorn, and then because I wanted to make sure Rod was full stomach, right? Like I needed to get in the good books there. And then yeah, when we walked in, I just looked up and I'm like, everything's fucking taken. I'm like, holy
no offense, but like one of the biggest fucking movies of the year, maybe of all time, then you are fucking around. Why? So when I see films with Heidi, sometimes what we do is we get the seats first, then we go get the popcorn, because the seats matter more than when you can always go out and get popcorn.
Listen, it was like my first time, but
it isn't though. You actually no. It is not your first time.
Well, the first time
at a press screening for
but at the press screening I went, there was only 11 people there. I'd pick of whatever the seat I wanted, right? But yeah, with this one, it wasn't like I told Rod, I'm like, okay, now I know this is I need to take a full day off work, go hang out in Toronto, and then like literally be the first person there at 6:30, right? So
you know what, Scott, I will say the difference is if you go to a morning or day press screening is so different from the evening ones, because they also use the evening ones to do giveaways, which is really kind of chaotic. I got there at 5, not because I'm a keener, but because I was finished from a work event down the street, so I just went and parked my butt there. But even for the separate lines, it was still a little bit messy. But I really don't joke around when I say people do show up 2 hours early. Like there were people lining up to get their seats 2 hours early. I just happened to be in the neighborhood, but I would probably do 1 hour. So yeah, that is the seating situation in these evening press screenings.
But I do. Sorry,
go ahead, both of you.
I do want to give a shout out to the guys in the row in front of us on the first row, because like them vaping that weed, I'm sure it made their necks a lot better, right?
Heidi, so what do you recommend the film?
I do recommend the film. Actually, I took my bestie because we're both fans of the first film. So I think we both at the end were like, I think we'd see it again. Like if people wanted to go, I'd see it again. And I do agree it needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible, if you can, to just get the sense of it.
Rod, what about you?
Yeah, I think people should absolutely see it. It's a fun movie. I mean, it has a lot of spectacle. And if you're a person that enjoys fight choreography, which as Heidi says, is extremely well done. Comparing it to the first Gladiator movie, though, the plot doesn't hang together the same way. And the ending, I won't spoil the ending, but the ending to me is a little bit of a trope. I kind of watched it and went, ugh. And it's also, I think, because some of the components of the plot just really don't hang together. I mean, you get a sense that in the first movie, these folks really value Rome. And you don't get that in the second movie. And so, Scott said earlier, I think that you shouldn't watch one movie after the other. I wonder if the writer was not trying to pull some stuff from the first movie to make the second one make sense, or relying on that feeling of the second movie. Because in the first movie, you felt how screwed up Rome was, and the machinations of the senators and things like that. That was completely absent in the second movie. Like they basically they didn't show you, they told you that Rome was screwed up, but you didn't really see it. So I don't think the plot hangs together very well, but as a spectacle, knock yourself out. It's a blast to watch.
Do you think Paramount has any fears? Like, do you think it should be good to go? They've spent a lot of money. I know that we're under embargo. Like for everybody listening, this thing is releasing as soon as the embargo has been lifted. They have really kept a tight lip on like reviews and stuff. Do you think they have anything to worry about?
Heidi?
I don't think so. I think people are gonna go. I think people are gonna see the film. I'm not sure. I haven't really been keeping track of any of the Oscar-worthy lists, but I don't know that it'll have as many nominations. But I could see some nominations possibly. Denzel being one, and I think for the behind the scenes, I don't think they have anything to worry about. Will they recoup the millions that they've spent on the film? That is yet to be determined. I think that's where I will hold my notes on.
Scott?
I think yeah. I think this is going to do well. Like, I don't think it's gonna do like Top Gun Maverick numbers where it's like the 20-year difference. And coming out of a pandemic and people are like clamoring to go. But I do think there is so much like known IP with Gladiator and so much love towards it that a lot of people are going to go, like, because this is a spectacle movie and this is the kind of film that most people will go to the theater to watch. So I don't think Paramount has a problem with it at all.
And you think though the people who see it, the word of mouth is going to convince other people? Like, you don't think people are going to walk out of this and be like, that was fucking bullshit?
No, this isn't Long Legs. Sorry, but no, I think because even if you like think of what each one of us has said, even though we've had our criticism, we're all like, yeah, go watch this movie, go watch it in the big screen, right? Like, I think a lot of people are going to be the same way.
Rod, what do you think?
So, not having been to a press screening before, I don't know what the audience reaction is typically. But when the movie was over and the lights came up, or there was a little bit of applause, but I thought it was really kind of weak and sporadic. And I wonder if maybe some of the reviewers weren't blown away. So the reviews might be lukewarm. And our reviews are a little bit lukewarm too. I'm sort of feeling. So I think they'll recoup their money or at least break even. I don't think it's going to be a Gladiator or a top
Top Gun 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that.
Heidi, can you comment on that? On like, you've been to lots of press screenings, so is that kind of normal?
Honestly, sometimes just the mood in the crowd. And some of the critics that were present, they're people that probably have to write for the usual media outlets like Globe or TV personalities. So I feel like they are usually just, I'm not gonna react kind of folks. So I wouldn't take that as a meaning that they didn't enjoy the film. I think if anything, they might be a little bit more critical based on certain things, but I think it's expected from the role as legacy media people. to sometimes kind of wag a finger at what is and isn't good about the film. And I think there's a different perspective that we have here because some of us are fans of the film for different reasons, not because we always want to be nitpicky and point out what's wrong all the time, because there's a lot of it that is good.
So I'm going to just stick with you, Heidi. So final thoughts. What last things you'd like the audience to know, or is there anything, if there's anything else you want to expand on that I haven't already covered?
I want to give a shout out to Paul Menza, who is from Spartacus, the TV series. You would recognize him as the older black man in the earlier part of the film. So that's something that I really was excited to see on screen. And I think Joseph Quinn, out of the two emperors, he is Emperor Geta, and I think he did a really good job. And I mentioned the fighting, but I also want to mention the music by Harry Gregson Williams, who actually worked with Hans Zimmer back in the day. So he was influenced heavily by Zimmer's original score, and I think the music actually is one of the things that I enjoyed in that film.
Amazing. Scott, same thing, same question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say in terms of the performances, yeah, like Joseph Quinn. I also like, because this is my first real, I guess, looking at Fred Hessinger, who plays the other emperor.
Yes.
I thought he did a super good job as well. And shout out to the guy who was in the first one, who was a senator, Jacoby.
Derek Jacoby.
Yeah. Like, it was good seeing him there, man. That guy looks like he never ages. But yeah, like, definitely go watch this. It's fun. Enjoy your popcorn. You know, Cineplex is doing free refills on large popcorns now, so get two. And then yeah, I think this will be a blast to watch. And I'm really excited to listen to Chris's take once he does get to watch it, and then we can get more spoilery on it. But
are you excited for real?
I am. Yeah, I am. I do value Chris's opinion, even though he's wrong a lot. Like, I do like listening to it, kind of, because I find it amusing.
It's like listening to a child explain the world. You're like, yeah, that's cute, and you tap his head and you go, fucking idiot, man. Jesus.
Yeah. Like, in the words of Denzel, like, explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old.
God damn it, you should have saved that rate for the end. Rod, what are your final notes on this? And then we're gonna go into our after show.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I've kind of poo-pooed a few parts of the movie, but overall, I think it's, could I make a movie like that? Hell no. It's a lot of fun to watch. There's lots of historical accuracy. I think that their performances are great. I think I could watch Denzel Washington in this movie all day. He's just so, as I said before, deliciously evil. And if you want a villain, that you love to hate them. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed Connie Nielsen's performance, Jimon Hunsu, who's comes back again. And as you said, Jared Jacoby, I think, could provide a little bit of continuity. And it's like when they popped up on the screen, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So yeah, go watch the movie, have a good time, get your extra large popcorn as Scotty recommended. And Heidi's right, the soundtrack is great. The soundtrack for Gladiator 1 was great, and this soundtrack is great, and really, brings a lot of the components of the movie together.
Well, thanks guys for talking about this show, and we're gonna head out. And I hope to the audience that we explained it to you like you're a 3-year-old or a toddler.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com.
So yeah, just one of the things I forgot to mention in the major show was it was Joel Cohen that did the tragedy of Macbeth. So Heidi, Pedro Pascal, Still a daddy after this film?
Yeah, although he played that character a little bit more subdued than I expected because he's a general. So I'm now curious as to what the direction was or where I know why he might have played that character a little bit on the less intense side. But yeah, I'm good with him. Can see him as a Roman general any day.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.